Greetings, brothers and sisters. Hello and welcome back to Witches of the Moon. I'm Eva Maria, normally your Monday hostess, but this week has been a little crazy for me, so this video is going to be kind of like out of whack in the scheme of things. But regardless, I'm here to talk about shamanism, so I'm just going to jump right into that. Now, shamanism is a terminology, a term that I think can be a little bit misconstrued. For a few reasons. First of all, it's a term that I think some people may not, like they may have an idea of it, but they may not have like a clear understanding what exactly is a shaman. And I think the other aspect of it that can kind of lead, to misunderstanding is that I think, in my perspective anyway, from what I've perceived, it seems that most people, when they hear the term shamanism, it evokes ideas relating mostly to Native American shamanism. But that is not the only kind of shamanism there is. Actually, there are many cultures that have shamanistic traditions. Also, labels in themselves, terms in themselves, words in themselves, tend to be very confining. So, to kind of have a clear idea of something based on a word or a terminology, it can be difficult. So, with that said, what exactly is shamanism? Well, I think there are certain things that these various shamans, what they have in common is that shamanism is a practice that, though the techniques may vary, it is very spiritually oriented. There's a lot of spirit work, a lot of like soul work involved. A shaman in particular will do a lot of journeying, essentially astral travel, walking among, spirits and so on and so forth, walking in the spirit realms, dealing with other consciousnesses, entities, beings, what have you, that are not of this physical plane in order to bring about the ends that they are seeking. Particularly, usually it's for the betterment of community, of the self, that sort of thing. You have to kind of keep in mind as well that there are traditional shamans and then there are more contemporary shamans. Traditional shamans tend to follow particular shamanistic practices, traditions, folk traditions in that way that are passed down, in their cultural, national, what have you, sort of background. For example, a Native American shaman is going to practice traditionally in the way of his people, depending what tribe, depending on those sorts of things, what they do, what the traditions have been. And the same would be true for, let's say, a Siberian shaman or some other sort of shaman. Now, where the contemporary shamans are concerned, they tend to draw on many different shamanistic paths, and it's not so much one tradition. You sort of have a melding of various techniques or approaches. As a chaot, I can respect that. I believe that, it's not to say it's better than traditional shamanism or worse. I think it can broaden your magical and spiritual arsenal, to draw on many sources, but that's just the chaot in me talking. I don't see contemporary shamanism as a bad thing. If anything, I look at it this way. If it's contributory, if it does good things, if it's productive and positive, I can't say that, well, because it's not one traditional practice or path, that it's a bad thing. I don't see it that way at all. Also, I tend to see shamanism as not so much connected to one particular or a few particular sort of cultural paradigms or cultural histories. I feel that it's more a thing that is very rooted in humanity's history or humanity's beginnings. There are certain, I find, essential truths that are a common thread. And I feel that, that's what sort of, that's what holds it all together, just regardless of, if it's practiced one way or another. It's very human, very human. Other than that, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. I can't sit here and tell you that I'm some expert on shamanistic practice. I've never been under the apprenticeship of a shaman, but suffice it to say, I do feel that it has, regardless what form it takes, regardless what cultural roots it comes from, whatever tradition, or if it's more of a contemporary sort of shamanistic practice, I feel that shamanism it has a valuable and valid place in our magical and spiritual community. And I think that's pretty much all that I have to say at this time on this topic. So if you have any questions or comments, I welcome those in the comment box below. And I do encourage you to watch everyone else's videos. Like I said, I wish I had more to really chime in on this other than some overall sort of thoughts. But I don't feel that I would do justice to this topic if I started just, I'm not going to pull things out of my ass, you know what I mean? All I can sort of do is point you in the right direction, and then you take what I say and maybe go do some research for yourself. And I think that's what you should do, as a coyote. One of the 6 core principles, prize firsthand experience over anything you see, hear, or read. You should be experimenting, exploring, researching, because that's how you grow as a practitioner, and that's how you find your truth. Okay? So until next time, until next week, you all stay awesome, and bye-bye for now.